right, hello everybody. We are officially in the home stretch, getting there for 2021, and we're getting into 2022. I call it the home stretch, Ty, because Tyrone, guess what? Christmas is just around the corner. I'm
2
feeling
days.
festive.
Yeah,
Are you the Grinch?
I
Where's
am
your
the
festive
Grinch.
hat? Look at the festive hat.
My hat got stolen today. My Christmas hat got stolen, so I'm a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But that's all right. It ended up in the Christmas photos at in Geelong. Don't even ask the story. That's just how it ended up. But welcome everyone to the final webinar of 2021. We've got plenty of things to have a look at. We've got charts that are promising a little bit of action, but we are going to be very mindful that we've only got a couple of days of potential serious trading to go. So we're very, very happy to have you all here, and we are looking forward to joining in the Christmas spirit. I'm not the Grinch, as Thomas suggests. I'm actually a very, very pro Christmas cheer kind of person, especially if the DXY makes a new high.
Okay, cool. Well, I think, look, there are a few currencies here, Ty, that are starting to sideways up a little bit. We've got the DXY. We look at something like the weekly. The weekly actually looks pretty good towards the bull side, but I think it's more in some of the counters. So I've noticed the yens are starting to move. So, of course, in today's show, we'll be going through the Forex or foreign exchange currencies. Then we'll be going through commodities, into stocks, into crypto, and indexes and indices around the world. So we'll be discussing everything really in today's session. As per usual, we'll go through some of the better setups that we're seeing technically, and any questions that you have, feel free to ask them throughout. So yeah, first up, weekly close last week. Is that a big deal, Ty? We've got long leg doji, a little bit of indecision, and a decent closure. Not above, but certainly a good first sign. Some people would practice scaling at this process and be looking towards the bullish strength, wouldn't they?
Yes, it was a good close. Certainly a more positive close than we've seen in recent weeks. But yeah, for mine, it still has to do the job. We all know what it wants to do. We all know what it needs to do. And until it does it, we've just got a little bit of sideways crap. I like what it's doing, though. I think it's setting up to do exactly what we want it to do, right? But that weekly has to close above those levels. We get that. A daily close would be fantastic. A weekly close will just be fantastic, even greater. I'd like to see a weekly close. Maybe that's what it will be. Well, but let's just say this: if the trend is going to continue, the weekly has to eventually close above it. Otherwise, the trend's not going to continue, right? So that's the whole point. But a daily will do me. If we can get a daily close above that level, a new all-time high close on the daily, that's probably enough because it's had a good base. It's had a good bounce off that 96 level. You can see the wicks, plenty of wick action. It's tested it 3 times, failed to break through. Now it wants to go higher. We all know what it wants to do. Just do it. Just do it.
So I think I prefer a few even other currencies in terms of what we've been discussing recently. Let's go over to the yen here, Ty. I mean, this is basically same kind of concept, US dollar strength against this particular currency. The lead up is better
That's
here.
the difference. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's actually doing it. I mean, it's doing it right now.
Yep, exactly.
You can see this breach that's happening. The story is incredible. I mean, we have a bullish pin bar with another bullish reversal. All those previous rejections have been smashed, and we look like we're going towards a much higher level. So I think this is a huge close here today if it closes like this zone, and then we move towards potentially that 115.50. Your thoughts?
I love it. I want 118. The 115 is the first pit stop. 115.50.
That's right.
It's doing what it needs to do. I like it. I think it's got a really good story. I think that the price action is really, we're seeing the benefit of what we saw with those wicks now.
Yep.
And we've got to close over this level on the weekly. We do that past these wicks, and next stop 118. And I think it's proofed out nicely. As you can see, we had that flag, which I'm certain the virus variant cost us that flag already. But Tom tells me that it's not as bad as everybody thinks. So I'm going to believe Tom, especially when he's wearing a Christmas hat. And if we get that close above that 115.50, I think we start to set up the longs for the promised land, which is around that 118. And I think that could happen really early in the new year. I think it's a really good target to go to. And the price action is certainly indicating that's what could happen. The yen's is more than 1 yen moving though. We've got the Aussie
yen, pound yen also breaking out, and that's what you want to also see. You get all the yens kind of showing very similar strength breakouts. Like you can see this one, consolidation, potential breakout occurring on the CHF yen. Let's have a look at euro yen. Euro yen basing there, New Zealand yen, very similar. I mean, these are all great setups, aren't they, Tyrone? And
they're all telling the same story.
Movement. Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean get every single one of them, because that's what we call a basket, isn't it? we don't want the hamper. We don't want the Christmas hamper of trades at the end.
Exactly right. And we've got Stephen saying that seasonal downturn impact on DXY through to December 31 ? Of course, we've got a Grinch. He calls me Griswold. Stephen, come on. We don't want that. We want a DXY above 97 by Christmas, ideally.
Mark asks, is there a yen index like the DXY? There certainly is. Hang on, this one here. And what you're looking for here is weakness.
Yeah. Stephen's telling us his tech strategy.
All right. Well, look, I think currencies in general are relatively sideways here. You look at a lot of them, other than the yens. I think with the yens where the big damage is at. Maybe some CADs as well. They've started breaking out. Pound in general looks strong. I mean, you look at the pound US dollar, it's also starting to base form. We've got that resistance sitting around 133.30. That's going to be an interesting point, and I think a zone that many will look at over the next coming weeks. So that's something there for the pound. But other than that, I think it's really back onto things like silver and gold and our discussions there. Silver coming to an interesting zone, Ty. This is the resistance that we've been watching now for weeks and weeks and weeks. Daily 20, fantastic. We also have a strong level of rejection. And if you actually go to the 8-hour chart and the I don't know about the 4-hour chart. I guess that shows as well. But the 8-hour chart really clears it up. I like that level, and I'm looking for a breach above.
Yeah, a break above here, and that's going to probably coincide with a 2050 cross in the 8-hour too, which will be pretty sexy.
So breach above here, guys. Big deal on silver. And actually silver,
that will be a very
precursing gold, because gold on the daily looks hard. I mean, but we know it's in the middle of nowhere land. I mean, all this previous resistance is acting as support. There's moving averages all over the place. It looks negative and it looks bearish. I wouldn't trust that as a signal, especially where it's at. And I think that's the important thing. While these candles are showing you bearish action, that doesn't mean you want to be going long or short. What it does is it means you have to sit on your hands, do nothing, be patient. We had one trade where we knew 1810 was a TP. We definitely got that. The next one is all about the 810. Yeah. So we need this
100%.
This level breach, then it goes back up.
Yep. No, I'm still liking what I see here. I think silver might be, like you say, potentially leading the way for that one. Michael says that Tesla was up 2.3% in the pre-market. That's because news got out, Michael, that Thomas took one for a test drive in the last couple of days. He actually took one for a test drive. And from that, I believe Tesla was up in the pre-market. So it could have something to do with it. Because they know...
I'll say one thing, like the 3.3 seconds is not an understatement to 100. That is fast. It is fast, guys. It makes this weird like warp speed sound, Ty, when you're driving it. It's like this. It's just like that's it. You enter the warp speed for about 3.3 seconds.
I've never actually driven one, but I've been a passenger in one, and I've got to say I was impressed. They're a very impressive vehicle, and their ability to identify traffic around them and know where the cars are, know where cars are parked, lights, and that it's quite impressive. And it's exciting for the future, I think, because I know it's not at its full benefit yet. I know they can't completely do autonomous just yet, but I think, man, it's not far away. Far out.
It's very close. And even the cars they're selling now, they're actually going to allow you to, I think you can software update them later, and they have the right settings so that you'll be able to rent them out as robo-taxis. That's the idea, Ty. So you'll be able to say, go work for me, car, and it will actually drive other people. Can you believe that? That's a cool concept.
That would be an amazing business to get into.
Yeah.
That'd
be pretty funny. Yeah. All right. We'll move over to US oil. So we obviously have a rejection here in terms of what's going on with the 20 moving average. And the way I see it is it's being held back down from this level. We're looking at the 73 on US oil, and it breaches above there. It's going to be a big deal. Like this level, Ty, let's look at this on any of the time frames. but specifically even a 2 hour, because that's the one I've been looking at. Look at the rejections off the zone. And we think about what just happened. That whole FOMC pushed it down, false breaks, come back up, kind of like the market. 73, 73, 73. I would expect a lot of members in the community to have this level on their charts and then, of course, implement their own styles around it, depending on how they want to do it. If you see a breach, you've got conservative entry opportunities. You obviously have closure outs and what that can mean for the market. It's a very key pivotal zone. I like it. Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. It's a mark you must have on your charts, no question about that. And I'm sure you have. And look, it's important on both ends. I mean, I wouldn't be taking it on the first, touch, by the way. Like I'd want a break. I'd want to see a break on it because it has to break. Yeah. If you're looking for a scalp though, that's your take profit, right? I mean, straight up, you got $1.50, and that's where you're taking your profit. I wouldn't be trying to long it from here for the long haul. Maybe scale in, do the famous Thomas scale. If you are longing from this area. But
I think yesterday there was a decent long when it got back above our previous resistance support. I think during the session you had a long opportunity. Here in the middle of nowhere land, looking towards that as profit. And now you're just really waiting for that 73 breach, and then you probably want to be paying attention though. Should it happen over the break, I think it's a key zone.
Yeah, most definitely.
Another thing, just to let members of the community know, when we're talking about Brent and of course US oil, you do want to always check out Brent as well. They will give slightly different signals at the same time. Sometimes Brent will actually be the better signal finder, and then US oil has been pretty good this year, but sometimes Brent is better, and it's a very similar story. Daily 20 holding it down. In this case, we have $77 for the sweet crude, but it's over there. 50 daily. Everything really draws up with this idea that we get above these zones and we move into participation, and they could be very aggressive trades. It makes some sense. Platinum, palladium, all these types of ones are on heavy support. They're worthwhile watching over the break. That being said, they're not at maybe trade levels yet. Some investors will like zones like this, Ty, but no trade through just yet. We haven't seen the base form correctly like we want.
That's an investor entry, not a trade entry.
Exactly. Yeah. Javed says, what happens if oil doesn't come to the conservative entry? You practice scaling. So you wait for the closure, you take a portion, it comes back to the conservative entry, you take your final portion. That's the idea of the scaling, Javed. You don't really miss the trade then. And you also don't cry about it coming back down, because that gives you the next one. By the way, guys, if you can help us out, if you're feeling a bit Christmas spirity, give us a thumbs up right now. I've got about 50, 60 people in here. So make sure you do give us a thumbs up. It just pushes us out and it'll be really helpful. Let's move into some indices, Ties. So we'll start off with the US 500, and I'll give you some thoughts here from me, and then we'll see what Ty has to say. So the US 500, Ty, I like the bullish hammer potential close. I mean, imagine closure like this, very similar to last time. Weekly 20 has been reached. Trend line has been reached. We really pinpointed this one, I feel. We didn't necessarily expect Monday to be as negative as it was, but when it came down, we saw all the right price action. I think that goes down to something like a 1 hour analysis. We got that double bottom base. It breached. It was beautiful. It went up to the resistance. It held. It closed above during the session. Long leg doji, decision made. Doesn't get easier for the rest of the day for the trade. And that's what happened. Now it's down pre-market. It may come even further down, possibly a 46.10 and then a bounce. That's certainly open for it because the previous supports and resistances. But I think that's looking much more defined towards the long. Ty, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm still not totally convinced that we're going to see the Christmas rush that everybody thinks, but I think there's enough there to get it to the highs again. I think that's probably, and you know what, given the year that we've had, if the best that we can achieve here is 47.20, back to those all-time highs, I think that's probably job done, really, isn't it? I mean, you'd call that, it's not the traditional Christmas rush where you see a 10% gain, but, you know, given the year that we've had, you know, if it ends at an all-time high, I think most people will be taking that, wouldn't they? And I think this has set up for that. Like it does look long, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does, and I'm a bit greedier, I guess. Like the way I think about it is maybe SPX. If we go to the code here, I'll show you guys how to add this, by the way. So if you want to add the pivot, you search pivot. You can just then go down to the CPR one. And what you want to do is it'll come on the chart like this and look really scary initially, yeah? To cut through it, just go to settings and then disable everything except for the monthly pivots. And that will bring up your monthly pivots. I still like the monthly R2 potential into the end of the year if we get the ramp going. So let's say we breach this level that Tyron's talking about as the key resistance. Let's just say it happens over the break when we're maybe not doing the content that we usually do. This zone here, 47.15, once that breaches, I think 4,800 is in. And it's just too critical a level. Now, Ty's saying get up here, profit taking will ensue. I tend to agree with him. But if we bust this zone, I believe in the 4,800 at that point. And I'm pretty sure you will as well.
I believe in it, but I think it'll be fake money that's doing it. So you just got to be very, very mindful of that. It could definitely do it. I mean, public money or retail money, if you like, when the instos aren't actually operating, can move the market extraordinary amounts on very, very small volume. So it's not impossible, absolutely not. But I think you have to be careful that although it might be the Santa rally, it also might be just a little bit fakey rally as well. So just be careful of that. I for one would be taking my profits at 47.20, and then if you watch it go to 48, that's all good and well, and then just short the hell out of it. Not that, if it gives you the signal, but just be careful.
My goodness, yes, absolutely.
Any moves.
I'm an optimist here. I'm not a nasty bear.
any moves into uncharted territory through the Christmas period, a lot of that's going to be done on retail money. So just be very mindful of that. Okay, that's just a warning that it's not a true reflection of where the economy is. Just that's what I'm trying to say.
Nasdaq, we have the lows, 1550. We've detailed this quite a lot. I don't know if Nasdaq is the best at the moment. Yes, it could move. Yes, it's similar. The 16.4 is the level that Tyron's going to talk about in terms of resistance. I'm sure he will. But I think IWM is really where the community could get some opportunity here. This is the Russell 2000. We've seen an uncharacteristic amount of volume through it. We've got a base that's been formed now so many times in the past. I mean, this has been really the worst. I mean, at one stage there, 11th of Jan, so we were almost looking at a 0% return for the year. It's now bounced, and it's done so in some style. I mean, when we think about it, we basically had a gap down, and then we moved to a bullish hammer, and then we've gapped back up, and we've moved up. 220, first resistance, daily 20 moving average. We breach, close above, 226 becomes open, and I could actually see this do an okay January tie. This particular index, once it does that one, at least for me, that's the first real step of recovery. We get some nice positions, and then that 226, the next zone, that's where it gets really exciting because we've seen where it's been before. Scary index in some ways, but looks good.
It is a little bit scary, but I think, though, you're right. Yeah, if there's going to be a bit of strength, this might be the one that you might see the most of during the Christmas period. I think it's got the most range. I like predetermined levels. I get scared of uncharted territory. I know people put out their little fib extensions and pivots and this, that, and the other. To me, they just worry me a little bit. I like proof. Maybe it's because I'm a bit older. I like to know exactly where the market's been. So, and it doesn't mean that it can't go higher in, of course, but that's why this one's more appealing to me, because I think it's got a lot of upside in a previously tested zone. So to me, this is potentially a better trade because it's not going into uncharted territory, if that makes sense. It could easily break those highs and go on to 240, and I wouldn't be concerned about it at all. But if the SP 500 is going to 4,900, I'd be like, wow, that's really impressive. So that's my point. This one seems to have more scope for the long without taking unnecessary unknown risk, if you like, of going into uncharted territory, especially in a time where, the big players aren't playing. So it's good. I like it. Yeah,
it's really looking much better. And when we take a look at some of the hyper stocks soon, you'll see the bases are just so good across the board there.
Yeah.
Jessica's got a question. Which pivot point indicator do we use? Scroll back about 10 minutes, Jessica, later, and I literally bring it up on the chart. You'll see it and how we add it.
Yeah. So, more importantly, how you add it. Yeah.
There. Yeah, maybe I'll do a bit of a video on this. Actually,
these are monthly pivots, though, just for
only monthly, and only really use them on the S&P 500. I haven't really seen them work on anything else. But when you bring them on the SPX, so the S&P 500, what you'll see is it's really good at predicting tops. So here's a monthly R2, and you'll notice that's where the top ends comes in. You've got an R3 here, you get that resistance. You've got an R2, often the R2, the R1s. These are areas that you want to watch. And they tend to work relatively well at picking kind of points where you might want to take some profit as a day trader, or at least consider the price action and how the price action moves around that level. Like here we had the long leg dojis, and then all of a sudden a bearish candle, it was decision made. Here we go to Beartown. So yeah, it's worthwhile.
We will do a video at some point on pivots. I think it's probably important to know exactly why they are actually there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll move over to some stocks here. So let's go and have a look at some of our favorites at this stage. I'm actually starting to like Cathie Wood's funds, things like ArcG and some of the genomics-based stocks. Why? Because we've got nice volume down the bottom here. And Tyrone, no matter what, if I showed you this chart, didn't really matter what it is, you're going to like this one, aren't you? Like it's doing a lot of the right stuff at the base here.
And that's why I love technical analysis. I mean, I couldn't care less what the symbol was. The price action is what we're looking for here in the base. And yeah, 100% correct. All we're looking for is an all-time high here, or a recent high to break up. We got the lightning bolt that we want. We know we're on a daily chart, so we've got like a reasonable time frame that we can work with. And most importantly, the range projects perfectly. I mean, if you take the bottom of that, what is effectively a double bottom, its take profit is going to be 72. Exactly at 72. Happy days.
Yep.
Yeah, and when they prove that way, I love it. It's TA 101, and it's the easiest TA to follow because you're not trying to recreate the wheel. You're just basically working within what the market's trying to tell you it's going to do.
And TA 101 here as well. We've got base formation. We've obviously got the chance of a double bottom, but I feel like it's like a double bottom in a double bottom, because when you go and look at the 1 hour, you'll also notice there's some nice support that's been found and then a little resistance breakout. So I kind of feel positive about this. It's been the worst sector. The hyper stocks are well known to be the worst of 2021. They basically put in a negative 20, 30, some of them negative 60% years. That is bad. It doesn't matter how you want to look at it, it's bad. And these are the things that sometimes you look for. It kind of reminds me of that AGL tie, how AGL has been improving. And we've covered it many weeks here. It's an Australian stock, and it's really starting to do much, much better in terms of improvement. And a lot of this is because it's finding those bases. So BHP, another one, Vale, another one, all of these iron ore companies, they've found really nice bases and they've moved through. A quality one like BHP here, look at it, just continuously rises very consistently. Actually, it's even got a nice little trend line on the back of it at this stage.
Yeah. Very, very sexy trade. Jessica, don't worry too much about the pivots on the ASX 200 do work as well. It's just that you have to identify which pivots actually are the most important. What Tom was saying was the R2 and the S2 were very important on the monthly for the S&P 500. The only thing is, if you're going to move it to the ASX, you want to have a look at the weekly pivots and the monthly pivots and see which ones they're actually being respected, and they're the ones that you use. So it's really coming down to, it's not that they don't work, it's just you have to actually make the adjustment. Tom's a little bit lazy in his analysis. He likes to just use a monthly and say, but if you're going to explore, you'll find pivots will work on nearly everything, aren't they, Tom? It's just a matter of finding which pivots. One pivot set is not going to work the same on every single pair.
That's the problem with it. Yeah. So you've got to use
there's a lot of
the monthly works on the SPX, but maybe the daily is not going to be as good. And then maybe it doesn't necessarily, maybe it's a 2 hour on an Apple, or who knows. You've got to really think about it.
Yeah. We know consistently the monthly works very well on the SPX, but the ASX will have its own. It's just we haven't really put a lot of time into actually working out exactly which one that is. That's all.
That's correct. Yep. So other good setups that have happened, we highlighted this one in the Monday stream. This is Take 2. In fact, Blizzard Activision also looks a lot better. And this, again, hated sectors, hated stocks that haven't been doing well in 2021, starting to really come through with the goods. Inverse Head and Shoulders doesn't get much better than this, guys. And then a breach out. And, of course, we're above all the moving averages at the same point, which Tyrone and I love. Like, that is That's stellar right there. That's a stellar looking trade. And I believe it'll go to completion. I hope it does. Crowd, another one that's starting to form base here, another hated stock recently. Daily 20. You can see what's happening. You can tell that things are basing here. Volume has remained okay, not exceptional, but okay. Wouldn't mind to have a breach above this zone. Another really good setup that's showing for the community in terms of just technicals. And it doesn't matter. You can apply this to anything you really are looking at in the markets, that they're just showing good positions. J&J coming back down to the more conservative entry here, Ty. Another one where we've got resistances across the board. We've had a base formation. We've breached out and we've come back down. And now we've got a daily 200, a 20, and a 50 acting as dynamic support for this stock. So some nice stuff here, really. I think there's opportunity in the stock market, more so than there has been in certain points of the year. It's kind of like how Apple, we liked Apple on the charts and we liked Tesla on the charts a few months ago. We still like the stocks, but they're nowhere near as good. This is the rotation. Like all of a sudden Apple went to, a $180. Is that a good deal? Well, I didn't think it was that great a deal at 165 personally. So when it hit there, I was like, that's cool. Thank you very much, Apple. So it's all about finding this stuff and finding the rotation. And Ty, these are great examples of TA, aren't they?
100%, 100%. In fact, we've got a comment from Robbie. You might want to highlight that one, Thomas. He says, can people really make money from technical analysis? Like, honestly, guys. Yes. Robbie, mate, absolutely you can. I'm not sure if you're a regular on our channel, but I think week on week, you can pretty much ask anybody in the room. Technical analysis setups play out, the ones we talk about anyway, play out 7 to 8 times out of 10. It's all about managing your risk properly. What the problem with technical analysis is that some people who are new to it and who don't understand it try to probably over leverage most of the time. They associate it with short and sharp scalping or aggressive trades that are taking too much risk because it's almost like you're gambling. Technical analysis is not a gamble. Technical analysis is a study. And if you apply it the correct way, which we obviously do, and everybody in the room does, it goes a long, long way to making you a profitable trader. Can you use technical analysis alone without fundamental analysis? If that's what you're asking, if that's the question that you mean, absolutely you can. But in saying that, though, you've got to manage the particular time frames that you're doing it in. So, if you're trading the shorter term, like a daily or under, fundamentals have a very little impact. But if you're trading monthly charts, it's good to know what fundamentals are around to actually help you along the way for the bigger investment. But for short-term trading, day trading, and even medium-term trading, technical analysis is where it's at for us. And yeah, we stand here and absolutely tell you that you can make money from it when you do it properly and manage risk correctly.
I will say 2 things to that. Stick to quality. It'll work better. If you go and TA a stock that's come out 3 months ago or 6 months ago, get out. Do not do that. I'm always annoyed when people tell me about that. I've had people tell me to TA stocks on their IPO day. It's not how it works.
Yeah. Well, a double bottom failed on
your sound is epically bad.
My God, it's been trading for 3 days and the double bottom failed.
The reality also with TA is the higher the time frame, the more likely to be a correct signal. There's a reason that the double bottom on dollar index worked out. It took time, but look at it work out. You go and look at a weekly, you find a weekly setup. The weekly setup on TA will tend to not give you a false signal when you look for the actual confirmation. That's for sure.
Robbie, and the thing is, you got to remember, with TA, when you're looking at the bigger time frames and you are looking at the bigger stocks as well, you're going to have people just like Thomas wearing a Christmas hat trading exactly what we're talking about. And when there's enough people doing that, it's history repeating itself. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and support and resistance levels, all of the key things that come with TA basically make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's why it's so successful.
So we have a question here about J&J, Ty, in terms of placing stops. So you've got really 2 choices. One, if you grab it at the roll reversal here, then you've got to give it a larger stop. So your stops might be underneath the moving averages. Usually you're looking for some kind of swing here as well. I mean, the safest stop would be to go underneath this area because you've seen it bounce off this area before. You're giving it the moving averages and everything. The one thing that a lot of people probably underappreciate doing is going down to the smaller timeframes once you've defined a level and then looking for the turnaround story. The lightning bolt, Tyron's lightning bolt is not created for just good looks. It's created for the idea of actually being able to say, okay, cool, we've now seen the turn at the highlighted zone. So we highlight our zone of interest. Let's say it's here. And we see the turn. And when that turn appears, what that gives us is it gives us a predefined stop loss area. Our stop loss can therefore be underneath the low down here. And once it breaches through, once that close happens, we can then place the stop loss here. And that's going to give us a much tighter stop loss. And that's why the conservative entry can often give you a way higher risk reward, because you've been patient. Patience, trades you don't take, that's what really makes you as a trader.
Yep, 100%.
All right. So there's plenty of stocks here. I mean, you can go through. We've done plenty of them. PayPal as well, showing some signs of, accumulation base. This is where TA really does well when we start to get accumulation bases, similar to that BHP style trade. That's the type of thing where if you're patient, you understand what you're looking for, and then you can get it. And this is starting to accumulate, which is good. So a breach above, that's going to be when you say, okay, cool. The stats will be more in your favor. It's had due consideration down here. It's really thought about it. It's spent some time down here with buyers and sellers fighting it out. And then it's made the decision to go up. And at that point, that's when you get that participation. And again, back to that question of can you make money in trading? A lot of it has got to do with recognizing the story on the left-hand side and understanding that psychology of when it breaches these kind of patterns or these zones, it's really showing you that it's ready to move to the next area and something's probably happened. Now, that could be fundamentals, but again, you don't need to understand that. All you're doing is following the psychology of the market, which the study of TA is telling you. Robbie Young says, what are your opinions on Spax? I hate them with a passion. And could you look at 23andMe, please? Yeah, look, I don't like Spax at all. I think they're trash. It's a back-ended way of getting onto the market. So it's basically getting through into the market without going the standard IPO route. Is it cheaper? Yes. But we've seen a lot of SPACs come out and a huge amount of them are not credible. And we've seen that now since January, February, where it was all the craze. They have got trashed and people have lost a lot of money on them. The story might be good for the company, but Ty, these SPACs have killed people's accounts. And I've never liked them. I've always disliked them. There are some good ones, I'm sure. But predominantly, if you're backdooring your way into the market, are you really a solid company?
Yeah, that's right. Look, that goes into the realm of speculation too. It's a bit like trying to pick of the million mining stocks there are, trying to pick the one that's going to turn into the next Fortescue Metals. That's not really. It troubles me when people say they're investing or they're trading when they're actually speculating. Speculating is not trading. Speculating is not investing. There is a difference there. I'm not saying that you don't do it, but do it always with the expectation that it's going to fail. That way, if you do get lucky and it does work out for you, then you weren't disappointed if it went to zero. Okay, so just be very, very mindful that investing and trading is very, very different to speculating. Okay, they're very, very different things. Speculation needs to be managed in a totally different way.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. We've got a question here about Activision. Yeah, look, I think it definitely is similar to all of the other game companies. They've all returned. Take-Two, even EA, Activision, Blizzard, they all got trashed, and Activision is coming back fairly strong. That also got helped by the fact that EA totally blundered their major game being Battlefield. That really does help. This is a big amount of sales for them. They're getting COD now. And that's starting to, that's obviously already moving. If you've missed it, you've probably missed a bit of the gains here, but it still looks okay on the charts. The lightning bolt has fully cleared, though. It cleared at this point, and we did follow it. We talked about it there.
Yep. No, I hear you there. What have we got? Another quick. Hyro says, options take time to play into profit. You say you trade options all the time. Is it normal to wait weeks to a few months? Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it is. For sure. 100%. Like, you're not trading options on a daily basis to make profit tomorrow. No. And I think that they probably options teach you to play the TA game better, if you ask me, because it forces you into the patience mode. But you assume we make positions to make it worthwhile. You're assuming correct. Yes. But within reason, right? I mean, when you say we're not taking extra risk, to make more money. We're still risking the right amounts, but we're placing enough trades where, you don't have to make, look, anyone who out there is thinking that Thomas and I make, hundreds and hundreds of % a year are wrong. We're not actually trying to achieve that. That is not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to achieve is basically for clients, what we're trying to achieve is what they're after. So if they say to us they've got a range of somewhere between 8 and 15%, that's what we're aiming for. We're not trying to shoot the lights out and make hundreds of %. We don't do that. Could we? Not without taking extraordinary risk. That breaks down the whole model, right? So you've got to keep your risk in check. You've got to have your expectations right. So although our options trades are substantial, no question about that, they are within the right risk ratios that we talk about every day. And I think that's the important part. Do they teach you patience? Absolutely. Do they last weeks and sometimes months? Absolutely.
A lot of it's about, risk adjusted returns are what you look at when you start to get really, really big cash. And again, you could take the same trade, put extra 4% of risk on it, and then all of a sudden you're looking at an 80% return. But that's all relative. Yeah, it's just about risk adjusted returns. So that's
don't ever feel bad about putting 1 and 2% risk on. Absolutely not, mate. That's just absolutely normal. You know what? Mm-hmm. We all started with $100 account and $1,000 account and the $10,000 account. It took us a long time to build up the confidence and the strategies to start trading the big accounts that we do now. But the equation and the calculation of how you do that is the same. And that's the important part. That ratio doesn't change. The risk ratio doesn't change. So don't worry about that. You're doing the right thing. It's not going anywhere. The options market aren't going anywhere. It's your confidence that needs to get there. And then you can, trade to your heart's content using the right risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Netflix also another one that's coming into my red zone box here, Ty, in terms of where you're looking and what you're looking for. I do also remember, just with Tyrone's comment before, you don't always have stellar years where you're getting those 60% returns in the market. It's not always crash, pandemic, massive amount. We are probably entering 2022 into an amazing trading year. Now, that is not going to be an amazing investing year necessarily from what people expect. And what I mean by that is they're not going to get their double bangers and, 300% out of a stock as much as they've seen in the last 2 years. The sugar rush is off. Now we move into the standard. And we've been around the standard for a long time.
Yeah. We're used 2022 is the year of the trade, I believe, not the year of the invest. And I think that's really good for us, really good for the channel, really good for the community, because trading is what we're about. And and realistically, it's going to be a very, very optionable year. Let's just say that. So I think it's going to be really good.
All right, we'll go through a few more questions here. We've got Verizon as a question. What do we think about this one in terms of recovery or whatever's going on with it? Look, these stocks, I don't know how I feel about Verizon. All utilities are going up. Obviously, this is a telecommunications company. They've been really terrible stocks for a very long time, though. And I think you do need to remember that. Sometimes it's worth staying away from something if it has a horror kind of record. Now, you might be correct, and this is the straw here. It's obviously had a huge amount of volume in it recently. It's moving up, and it has probably cracked like a downward trend. But Verizon, AT&T, these types of telecommunication stocks, for me, Ty, they're not necessarily fantastic trades. They can be good options stocks, but not necessarily fantastic trades, because they have a lot of sideways action. And sometimes looking at the left-hand side can help us with that.
Yeah, no, that's right. It could be the breakout that turns it around. But
it looks like it, but
it's a bit like AGL. You got to trade it with a bit of caution. It's been going down for a long time.
Yes.
This could be the break that does it. Hopefully it is.
It's the correct analysis. You've got the downward trend, the double bottom, the breach, 100%. All of those things. This is the correct analysis. This is accompanied by volume. Just be warned, though, this is also a stock that tends to sit a lot. And I think that's something you want to bring in when you're doing it. Javed says it's a good idea to look at COT reports for analysis. Probably confuse you more than anything else. Those COT reports can be very confusing. They're also delayed. So I think that's something that you might want to consider when you're looking at them. They can be quite dangerous to look at. Let's move over to the Bitcoin markets and crypto markets, Ty, because I'm excited in this market. I think it's looking good. Finally. Hey. What are we talking about? Bitcoin Christmas tie, maybe. So this is, I think, starting to look a little bit like Christmas because we've got here some supports, 46,000, a breach on the 8-hour. Obviously, I've got this downward trend line. I'd like it to close above here. And then we have the next level, which is going to be around that 52,000. So yeah, once we get past this level, we move towards that 52,000, breach that, and that will be fantastic times. But this is an improvement, and it's not just this particular crypto. So if we go into other cryptos, let me show you the types of cryptos that we're starting to see have turnaround stories. ADA, another one, breaching out of a downward descending triangle. Tie, big deal, yeah, when you start breaking these ones.
That is, especially when they're all doing the same thing.
They are.
I think, yeah, they are. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly a good sign when they are starting to form the same pattern and break out at a similar level. That was a descending triangle, no question about that. It was a good one. So yeah, for it to break down before it broke to the bottom is a very bullish sign for it, no question.
We've also got a lot of wick purchasing here, Ty. Look, it's all at critical, and I mean, like, ADA is actually breaking out, but it's all at critical, and there are some improvements starting to go on here with the bases. So I think that, you know, even Matic, like, that's actually breaking out as we speak towards all-time highs here. This has had a good 2 days on it, this Matic, and it's been doing quite well. So there are a lot of cryptos starting to run. The ones that are going to run are things that are in people's minds, you know, those popular kind of cryptos. The Solanas might come back through, got resistance here at the 190, double rejection. You know, you close above these double rejections, maybe a decision made, a big lightning bolt at that point as well, starting to look better. And I hope the crypto market does continue like this because it really is looking a lot better here. We've got a question coming in about PG. So we'll check out PG, which I can only guess you're talking about Procter & Gamble and not that other thing. And you say here, looks like it's ready to start another rally after the pullback last week. I'm not sure if it's going to start another rally. I mean, it's had a great rally breakout. It's in uncharted territory, started to move very hard away from the 20 moving average. This is like one of those times where if you're in it, you're feeling good. And if you're not in it, do you want to rally it? It's tough. I mean, maybe as a day trade, you're trying to trap it in this area here. Scroll down even further, maybe go 15-minute chart, and then you really need to look at this on the small time frames and look at those breach outs. This is more of a day trade than anything else, how I see it. Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, nothing exciting for a longer term look. It's scalp all day, isn't it? It's scalper.
Yeah, scalp day trade. Yep. That's it. Yeah, yep. I think that's the main thing here. I got some questions about SHIB breaching out. Yeah, SHIB's improving as well. I don't like this coin very much. I think that it can be very dangerous, as we've seen plenty of times before. But yeah, look, previous resistance, support, long leg doji, potentially decision made. I'm not a fan, but take it with you will. Now, this is one of those ones where TA actually is not really a thing. And that's because this is purely built on hype and human psychology. And that is like the herd mentality, the full-on hype mobile, and it doesn't act with correct stop losses and correct technical levels, at least in the way I see it, compared to like a Bitcoin or compared to, you know, maybe a larger coin there.
This is like Bitcoin when Bitcoin first came out.
Yeah, exactly. And then a few people saying Hood is cheap. I'll say it again. I dislike IPOs in tech in the US unless you're in it before or trading at the first couple of session highs. I've been on record saying this thing was ridiculous here, and I even said it was ridiculous here. It probably deserves to be down here, guys. It's a company that doesn't really make any money. It's obviously, how much is it trading at? 16.27. So it's not expensive probably anymore. And there is some volume transactions going through. So that probably means it's starting to form base, but you want to see the base form. I like to go with a rule of like 12 months. And then I come back and 12 to 18 usually is the way I look at it. And I come back and look at them.
Yeah. But could it get to $20 before the end of the year? Well, it certainly could.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not very far away at all.
Absolutely.
It's 1929 the pre-market.
Yeah, no, 100%. You can definitely, if you're looking for a scalp, if you want to scalp the bloody thing, yeah, I mean, if it's going to bounce up from here, probably this is the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, $20 is certainly within this grasp. Could do it today.
All right, guys. Well, I think that pretty much brings us to the end here, Ty, for our final webinar for 2021. We're going to come back in 2022 very refreshed. I think we'll even be taking a break from the YouTubes and then getting back into it. I need a break. Tyron needs a break. We've done a massive year. It's going to be amazing 2022. We're going to bring even more value to you guys in the room as well. Tyron and I have big plans. We'll be working on them still a little bit while we're away on partial holiday, I call it. And I think that you'll really enjoy what's going to happen in the Discord room, because the Discord room is going to get better and better and better with more support for daily opportunities and daily technical analysis. And we've got some big plans, don't we, Ty?
That room is going to be huge in 2022. Discord, it's grown a lot this year, but the extras that we're going to be adding early in the new year are going to be next level. No question about that. Guys, we have got I think the stats are this year alone. Thomas and I have pulled out. I did the actual numbers. Nearly 900 videos this year, which is quite amazing content. It's amazing. What we probably are super proud of is how many of you guys have actually watched them. I think the view
watched a lot.
Dave's watched every one of them. Dave's choreographed half of them. But yeah, literally, that's averaging. Given that we don't produce every single day, because obviously the weekends aren't getting done. It's an average of nearly 2.5 a day.
Well, we produce on the weekend too, every Sunday.
Yeah, so it's really it's a lot of content. We certainly won't be taking the foot off the pedal. In fact, we're probably going to increase it next year. I'd like to think we're probably going to get out even more. But yeah, we'd only do it if we were actually getting the support from you guys, and you've been absolutely fantastic. You guys have been amazing. We do really appreciate your support and obviously all your comments and your contributions to the community. We're going to see a lot of you in the conference. I mean, when we get back, we're only about 9 weeks away from the conference, which is going to be unbelievable. I just cannot wait to get there and actually meet a lot of you guys in person. We are getting very, very close to making a hard call on the US conference, which is going to happen in 2022 if it's going to happen, probably about the mid. So there's definitely, we'll make an announcement on that probably around February time, but we are certainly looking at potentially doing that not too long after the Australian conference. So very, very exciting times for next year. There's going to be new initiatives. We had a couple of very big projects that we had to work on this year. And we've got some really big ones next year that are actually going to probably be even more to the forefront than what we did this year. So once again, I hope everybody has a very, very safe Christmas and New Year's. I hope your trading has been really good this year. We're going to take it to the next level in 2022 to really bolster up your abilities, hopefully, and your profits. And yeah, everyone's just amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So from all of us at FX Evolution, really, we want to say have a very Merry Christmas, have a great and a Happy New Year. And of course, enjoy some time with the family. Hopefully get a little bit of rest from the charts. Maybe pull back on the scalping and the day trading if you have to over the time.
And I just want to and just on that too, it would be remiss of us not to mention some very, very special contributions that we've had throughout the year that have made a lot of what we do possible. Namely, Dave, Marvin, the Martian, as you may know him in YouTube. But Dave is an extraordinary contributor to the room, does a lot of work so far above and beyond what he needs to. Our admins, we've got amazing admins. We've got Clem, we've got Amanda. She's been out of the community for a little bit because she's had a few things that she's been working on, but we're hoping to see her at the conference. I don't want to miss anybody. Dane, Kilted, everybody's just been fantastic. All of our admins, we're super appreciative of your contributions and your help in the community. And yeah, we're really looking forward to really pushing it to the next level in the new year. So thank you so much for our contributors and of course all of the people that actually make the community what it is.
So thanks so much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for our final streams on the YouTube as well, and of course the video. And then I'll probably produce one more on the weekend as well into Christmas, just after that happens. So thanks so much. See you in the new year, or see you possibly even tomorrow. Bye for now.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Catch up.